let me alert you to the fact that we're having a problem with Riverside that will not let us change the title. Um, I'm not sure why. We're going to try and contact them and get some guidance on. I don't know what to tell you. So this might cut down substantially on our viewers tonight because we just seems to be a repeat. But we're doing the best we can. And I didn't want people not to be able to tune in to hear the end of the Hemingway story. So we will do what we can and find out for tomorrow. I don't know really what to tell you. So,
except that we're getting lots of error messages every time we update the title.
oh my. So there's this hotel in Madrid. Hemingway was writing this story about, the capital of the world, which is home to a lot of toreadors and picadors. And they have mostly left for the night, leaving the kitchen staff there. And kitchen staff, of course, is absolutely, they're sort of become part of the industry too. And in any event, it seems to be centering around somebody who's on the service crew named Paco. And I will pick up from last night. Paco took a napkin that one of the priests had used, and standing straight, his heels planted, lowered the napkin with his head, following the movement, swung his arms in the motion of a slow, sweeping Veronica. He turned and, advancing his right foot slightly, made the second pass, gained a little terrain on the imaginary bull, and made a third pass, slowly, perfectly timed and suave, and gathered the napkin to his waist and swung his hips away from the bull in media Veronici. The dishwasher, whose name was Enrique, watched him critically and sneeringly. They're playing bullfight like American kids can play football and baseball, imaginary. The dishwasher, whose name was Enrique, watched him critically and sneeringly. How is the bull? He said. Oh, very brave, said Paco. Look, standing slim and elegant, he made 4 more perfect passes, smooth, elegant, and graceful. And the bull? Asked Enrique, standing against the sink, holding his wine glass and wearing his apron. Still has lots of gas, said Paco. You make me sick, said Enrique. Why? Look. Enrique removed his apron and, citing the imaginary bull, he sculpted 4 perfect, languid gypsy Veronicas and ended up with a rebolera that made the apron swing in a stiff arc past the bull's nose as he walked away from him. Look at that, he said, and I wash dishes here. Why? Fear, said Enrique. Medio, the same fear you would have in the ring with the bull. No, said Paco. I would not be afraid. Leche, said Enrique. Everyone is afraid, but a torero can control his fear so that he can work the bull. I went an amateur fight and I was so afraid I couldn't keep from running. Everyone thought it was very funny. So would you be afraid? If it wasn't for fear, everybody in Spain could be a bullfighter. You, a country boy, would be frightened worse than I was. No, said Paco. He had done it too many times in his imagination. Too many times he had seen the horns, seen the bull's wet muzzle, the ear twitching, then the head go down and the charge, the hoofs thudding, and the hot bull pass him again as he swung the cape to recharge, as he swung the cape again and again and again and again to end. Winding the bull around him in his great media Veronica and walk swinging away with the bull's hairs caught in the gold ornaments of his jacket from the close passes. The bull standing hypnotized and the crowd applauding. No, thought Paco, he would not be afraid. Others, yes, but not he. He knew that he would not be afraid. He knew that even if ever he was afraid, he knew he could do it anyway. He had confidence. I wouldn't be afraid, he said again. Enrique said, leche, again. Then he said, if I should try it. How? Look, said Enrique, you think of the bull, but you do not think of the horns. The bull has such force that the horns rip like a knife, they stab like a bayonet, and they kill like a club. Look. He opened a table drawer and took out 2 meat knives. I will bind these to the legs of a chair. Then I will play bull for you with that chair held before my head. The knives are the horns. If you make those passes, then they mean something. Do you think this is going to turn out well?
Mm-hmm.
Lend me your apron, said Paco. We will do it in the dining room. No, said Enrique, suddenly not bitter. Don't do it, Paco. Yes, said Paco. I'm not afraid. Well, you will be when you see the knives come. We'll see, said Paco. Give me the apron. At this time, Enrique was binding the 2 heavy, bladed, razor-sharp meat knives fast to the legs of the chair with 2 soiled napkins holding the half of each knife, wrapping them tight and then knotting them. The 2 chambermaids, Paco's sisters, were on their way to the cinema to see Greta Garbo and Anna Christie. The 2 priests, one was sitting in his underwear reading his breviary, and the other was wearing a nightshirt and saying the rosary. All the bullfighters, except the one who was ill, had made their evening appearance at the Café Fornos, where the big, dark-haired picador was playing billiards. The short, serious matador was sitting at a crowded table before a coffee and milk, along with the middle-aged bandolero and other serious workmen. The drinking, gray-headed picador was sitting with a glass of Cazales brandy before him, staring with pleasure at a table where the matador, whose courage was gone, sat with another matador who had remembered the sword to become a bandolero again, and 2 rather house-worn-looking prostitutes. The auctioneer stood on the street corner talking with friends. The tall waiter was at the anarcho-syndicalist rally meeting for an opportunity to speak. The middle-aged waiter was seated at the terrace of the Café Alvarez drinking a small beer. The woman who owned the La Rocca was already asleep in her bed, where she lay on her back with the bolster between her legs. Big, fast, honest, clean, easygoing, very religious, never having ceased to miss or pray daily for her husband, dead now 20 years. In his room alone, the matador, who was ill, lay face down on the bed with his mouth against a handkerchief. Now in the deserted dining room, Enrique tied the last knot in the napkins that bound the knives to the chair legs and lifted the chair. He pointed the legs with the knives on them forward and held the chair over his head with the 2 knives pointing straight ahead, one on each side of its head. It's heavy, he said. Look, Paco, it is very dangerous. Don't do it. He was sweating. Paco stood facing him, holding the apron, holding a fold of it bunched in each hand, thumbs up, first finger down, spread to catch the eye of the bull. Charge straight, he said. Turn like a bull. Charge as many times as you want. How will you know when to cut the pass? Asked Enrique. It's better to do 3 and then a media. All right, said Paco, but come straight. Ah, Torito, come on, little bull. Running with his head down, Enrique came toward him, and Paco swung the apron just ahead of the knife blade as it passed close in front of his belly. As it went by, it was to him the real horn, white tip, black smooth. And as Enrique passed him and turned to rush again, it was the hot, blood-flanked mass of the bull that thudded by, then turned like a cat and came again as he swung the cape slowly. Then the bull turned and came again, and as he watched the onrushing point, he stepped his left foot 2 inches too far forward. And the knife did not pass, but had slipped in as easily as into a wineskin, and there was a hot, scalding rush above and around the sudden inner rigidity of steel, and Enrique shouting, "Aye, aye, let me get it out. Let me get it out." And Paco slipped forward on the chair. The apron cape still held, Enrique pulling on his chair. The knife turned in him, Paco. The knife was out now, and he sat on the floor in the widening warm pool. Put the napkin over it. Hold it, Enrique said. Hold it. I will run for a doctor. You must hold in the hemorrhage.
Oh my.
There should be a rubber cup, said Paco. He'd seen that used in the ring. I came straight, said Enrique, crying. All I wanted to do was to show the danger. Don't worry, said Paco, his voice sounding far away. But bring the doctor. In the ring, they lifted you and carried you, running with you to the operating room. If the femoral artery emptied itself before you reached there, they called the priest. Advise one of the priests, said Paco, holding the napkin tight against his lower abdomen. He couldn't believe that this had happened to him. But Enrique was running down the Carrera San Girolamo to the all-night first aid station, and Paco was alone, first sitting up, then huddled over, then slumped on the floor, till it was over. Feeling his life go out of him as dirty water empties from a bathtub and the plug is drawn. He was frightened and he felt faint, and he tried to say an act of contrition, and he remembered how it started, but before he said as fast as he could, oh my God, I am heartily sorry for having offended. Those who aren't worthy are all my love, and I firmly resolve. He felt too faint. It was over very quickly. A severed femoral artery empties itself faster than you can believe. As the doctor from the first aid station came up the stairs, accompanied by a policeman who held on to Enrique by his arm, the two sisters of Paco were still in the moving picture palace of the Gran Via, where they were intensely disappointed in the Garbo film, which showed the great star in miserable low surroundings when they had been accustomed to see her surrounded by great luxury and brilliance. The audience disliked the film thoroughly and were protesting by whistling and stamping their feet. All the other people from the hotel were doing almost what they had been doing when the accident had happened, except that the two priests had finished their devotions and were preparing for sleep, and the gray-haired picador had moved his drink over to the table with the two houseworn prostitutes. A little later, he went out of the cafe with one of them. It was the one for whom the matador who had lost his nerve had been buying drinks. The boy Paco had never known about any of this, nor about what happened to all those people who would be doing on the next day and on the others to come. He had no idea how they really lived or how they ended. He didn't even realize that they ended. He died, as the Spanish phrase has it, full of illusions. He had not time in his life to lose any of them, and not even at the end to complete an act of contrition. He had not even had time to be disappointed in the Garbo picture, which disappointed all of Madrid for a week.
Oh my.
Yeah.
This is a terribly sad story.
It is terribly sad, but also pointed and poignant.
And beautifully written.
Yeah, beautifully written. So, Ernest Hemingway, this is a collection of his short stories. This one edition is from the Franklin Library, the first 49 stories. So, thanks for being with us on our open book. We can't figure out what our technical problems are, but we'll do the best we can. We can't figure out our technical problems, but we'll do the best we can. And be back with you. Take care. Bye-bye.
We'll live to fight another day.
Yes, we will.